sure they would have been
I can imagine if they tried to tell John, like, okay, so I know most times you're like in a shirt and tie or a suit. Um, we looked at the demographic. It's a lot of young ladies.
yeah,
They were
he's got to
wondering,
get the shirt off.
yeah, yeah. He'd
Yeah.
probably like, no, I'm not doing that. They'd be like, all right, well, I guess,
Yeah.
do we still have Hutchings and Rex ready to go? And I actually know you through watching Hudson and Rex, which is kind of big down here in Newfoundland. But I'm gonna say the episode you were on in particular, like I'll watch it every now and again, but then when I realized what your last name was, I was like, man, how did she not get the role? It could have been called Hutchings and Rex.
I would love that.
Yeah, they just be like, but we
Yeah.
have John Reardon is from Nova Scotia and East Coast. Yeah, but like the name
Yeah.
is in the title, it writes itself. You don't even have to change your name. And they're like, yeah, that's okay. We figured it out. But
Yeah.
I
I
did
think
like the
people
episode.
probably like John better than me though. So
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, each their own, right? Like there are some
yes.
people out there like, I feel like because of the world we live in, they're like, hey, a woman can do that job too. It's like, okay, no one said she couldn't. It's
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
John showed up and we were like, great for John. But the episode that I like that you were in, I see the clip all the time of like the investigative scene. And this is where I kind of wanted to start the podcast with you is, do they tell you the outfits to wear? Or did you just show up one day and you're just like, man, this is definitely what I'm going to wear to like a bridal shower or like, having your friends around? Because I was just like, man, that's a good outfit for like a guy to come up and be like, I know she's the bride, but what's your situation?
I get no say in. I remember when they gave me the crop top, and I was like, they're like, do you have any preferences of like what you've tried on? And I was like, maybe just not the crop top. And then usually the way it goes is like the thing you're like, I'm not comfortable in, that is what they end up choosing, and that's what happened. So
yeah.
No, I did not bring my own clothes; they were given to me.
Okay, because I was just like, man, that scene, just like, I guess it's if you can sort it out or you have the figure for it, it works. Because the amount of times that I'm like watching that scene, I'm like, man, I wonder did she pick out that outfit? Because if she did, stellar. If she didn't, I'm kind of like,
No.
Good job. But now knowing this backstory, I'm a little bit concerned. But they're just like, just throw it on.
It's all wardrobe. I mean, had I been like, hey, I'm really uncomfortable in this, then I'm sure they would have been accommodating, because everybody on that set is so. The entire crew and like wardrobe, hair, makeup, everyone's so lovely. So
yeah,
I'm sure they would have been.
I can imagine if they tried to tell John, like, okay, so I know most times you're like in a shirt and tie or a suit. We looked at the demographic. It's a lot of young ladies.
Yeah, he's got to get the shirt off.
Yeah. He'd probably like, no, I'm not doing that. They'd be like, all right, well, I guess, do we still have Hutchings and Rex ready to go? And it's like, but she said that she wouldn't do it either, topless. And it was like, yeah, but at least like a female, like there's a demographic would probably be like, yeah, fix itself.
No, so now Hudson and Rex now is like softcore porn, is what you're trying to get to. You want to get rid of the show.
Yeah. Newfoundlanders would be on my ass immediately and be like, excuse me, there are channels for that. And I'd be like, understood. I'm just trying to give everyone a little bit of a taste of everything here.
Are they in their last season?
For Hudson and Rex, I'm not sure. I know they got renewed, and I know they're currently working on it. But to me, it's up in the air. I usually, if I send out like a message to them to interview certain people, they'll be like, wait till the season's end so we know what's going on. I'm like, you know what? Fine, because nothing worse than like, if you come on and next minute, like in the midst of being on, they're like, you get an email. It's like, I know you're talking about the show. It's no longer.
But it's done. It's done.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having like people from How I Met Your Mother on. At least they can say, yes, you enjoyed the whole like 8 or 9 seasons. Let's talk about it. Compared to like, I can't talk about this, and you're just like, why are you here?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to ask you, like, I know there's different roles that you play throughout different series, and we can kind of get into that. But like, where did you get the acting bug to? Because I know from a young age I like doing this stuff, like just having conversations with people, and I like broadcasting. I dabbled in maybe doing like an acting class or course when you were a smart kid in school and they were like, all right, get out of school for like a few days and just choose a path. And I was like, acting. And then I have a VHS tape of like the don't do drugs thing that they made us do. And I'm like,
Really?
yeah, I'm like, I was not really interested in acting. I was more or less interested in being on camera and being like, give me no script. I'm going just saying what I want to say. They're like, that's not how this works. I'm like, no,
No,
that's not
no.
acting. Oh, okay.
So then you found yourself here.
Yeah, exactly. This
Yeah,
is how I just
yeah.
end up here, where no one controls me at all. I can just say things, and then, well, someone I guess essentially will say, "No, don't say that." But that's what I thought acting was a kid. I was just like, man, they just find these people out on the street, and they're just like, all right, put a camera on them and roll. And I guess in a way that's TikTok today, but
Yeah, or
back,
improv. It's
yeah,
improv actors.
yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. But back in the
Yeah.
day, I was just like, that's definitely how this is done. Then they were like, here's your lines, do this. I was like, oh. Oh,
Yeah.
that's acting. Okay.
Yeah.
But tell me how you got like the whole bug or into it.
Ah, I think it was probably high school. I went into drama class. So I was a good student. I played a lot of sports. But I always felt like a bit like nothing really made sense. And then I remember being in drama class and like, people are like, ah, like screaming and like I'm like, oh, okay, I think this makes sense. So um all these people are as weird as I am. So that's how. And then I just did a play in high school, and then kind of just went from there. So
So, how was your high school play experience? Because I asked that because I have a backstory for mine for junior high, but I
let
feel
me
like
let
that.
me hear it.
Okay, so in junior high, there was a Christmas concert, and
Okay.
like we're in like probably grade 5, grade 6, so maybe 10 years old. Like you're giving 10-year-olds lines. You're kind of, yes, we have direction, but it's Christmas. So what do you
Yeah.
do? Like there's a classroom with all your friends and you're watching a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, you're not responsible.
Yeah.
So the play's going on. They're like, yeah, you're in scene 1, you're a mouse. So I literally just had to come out and crawl on the floor and go, oops, I mean eek. And I was like, done, easy. Like,
Did you have a mouse costume?
yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, that's fine. Like,
Okay.
people kind of know who I am. Like, this is not the point where my parents go, yeah, that kid up there, that's the mouse, that's mine. Like, no, they're probably like, yeah, that was his card.
No.
He chose it. But then it's like the 5th or so episode of it, or whatever you want to call it. It's like I had a monologue, so I had to come out and kind of tell people, like, you toss your gravy, you do this, you do that,
Okay.
and they closed the curtain once, and I was not there. They opened it, and I still was not there. And then the person that directed this whole play, which is a music teacher, got on the mic and said, just be patient. It is worth the while. And then I was like, oh, and then someone like dragged me out of my classroom that I'm watching movies, and they're like, you're supposed to be up. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, great. They told me that it's the next act. Like I'm getting ready, and then when I go out there, like literally walking in front of
You just
parents,
laughed and went and
yeah,
watched the
yeah, like
movie.
walking in front of parents that are like watching, and I was just like, why is everything so quiet? What happened here? And then she's like miking you up while she has her own mic on, and she's telling me, just get up there and do your part. We waited for you. And I'm just like, sorry. She's like, don't talk. You have your mic on. And I was like, oh, okay. And then
Did you do your monologue?
I did my monologue.
Okay.
My parents, I'm sure at the point wanted to go, that's my kid up there. But
Yeah.
because everyone was
Yeah.
waiting and impatient, they are now going, oh my God, that's Brian's fault. No, we don't know who that is. So that was my experience. And the worst part is, like kids kind of remember this stuff, but I
Yeah.
think like the 2 or 3 kids that had to go get me basically didn't have to stay in the classroom and not miss the play or miss the rest of the show, because that's
Yeah.
the way the school works. It's almost like you can only stay in one area at a time. So I'm sure in like grade 12 when we graduate, they're like, can you sign my yearbook? They're like, no, we're still mad at you for grade
Mad at
5.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough,
Were
Katie.
you when you got out, were you like Katie? When you got out there, were you like nervous, like fuck, I was supposed to be here sooner, or you were like, oh, I'll just do it now?
You know what? In the moment, like if I flash back to it, I just probably think that in my mind I was sold that, hey, you're up next. Like
Okay.
this is us telling you ahead of time. And I was like, oh, that's so nice of you to tell me, like, or
Yeah.
you're on in the next act, so get
Yeah.
ready now. And
Yeah.
no, it was you're on now. And I'm like, that can't be. I am here and not out there. How does this work?
So you
So,
were a pretty like chill kid then.
oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
it was very hectic when I went out there because it's
Okay.
still oblivious that you're just like, okay, like I don't know
Okay.
why you're getting mad. I'm here now. But then when you think about it years later, you're like, imagine going to see like Spider-Man and like they do with the unedited version, and instead of I don't know, Tobey Maguire missing his mark where he's supposed to show up where there's three Spider-Man. You're
Yeah.
waiting there for like 5 minutes. You're
Yeah.
like, I think something's supposed to happen here. And
Yeah.
then like
Yeah.
then you see Toby come up and he's like, sorry, I couldn't find my costume. You're like, oh, total mood killer. Now I know that he missed
I've
his
heard
mark.
I've heard stories about like people being on set with, bigger names and then they're just like, yeah, they're not here. They went fishing. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That would
Yeah.
kind of I don't know. Like, see, for me, it depends on who the big name is, and then it depends on like how big I am, like or what my name value is. Like,
Yeah.
let's put it this way: if I'm like just starting off and Tom Hanks isn't there, I'm not going to fucking anybody and saying, "Where the hell is Tom Hanks?"
No. No.
But if I'm a rising Paul Rudd and Tom
Mm,
Hanks is skipping off, I might be a little bit like, all right,
dude.
buddy. Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm not your level, but I'm
Yeah.
trying. Like, this is a movie where I'm supposed to help you bring in a young crowd. You're
Yeah.
supposed to help me be a little bit more established. Can you at
Yeah.
least be here?
Yeah. Yeah. Show up.
Yeah, yeah. Show up for me, just for
Yeah.
me, and then they just be like, okay, whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the benefit of it, I guess. But like now, your high school experience with play was it as bad as that, or was it more or less joyful?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I like blacked out a lot of high school because it was so horrible. Um, I think it was okay. I was always like super hard on myself and like a perfectionist. So I imagine I took it very seriously. But now I'm like, I don't even remember what happened or who was there or what was said. So, but there's nothing that stands out. Like I didn't forget to go to the stage like you did.
You did it. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just walk out.
that's it. So it was
Yeah,
good.
there you go. There.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
easy, right? Like when people
Yeah.
have standards, just set it low. When someone says, like, when you raise your hand for things like in meetings or whatever, and they're just
Yeah.
like, who has ever had a boyfriend? Who's ever had, and like, it's like a low standard because they're trying to get to mingle. That's for
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How many of you have ever showed up late for stage thinking, like, oh, that's going to get everyone to talk? And then you're just like, over here, they're like, really? How? Like, tell me this.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd be like, how did you even get your foot in the door? I'd be like, actually, I almost missed the door. So
Yeah. You didn't go through the door.
yeah, I didn't go through the door. I went through the
Yeah.
door after the teacher threw me through it because she was like, we're done, we're
Yeah.
over, your career's done. I'm like, it hasn't even started.
With you.
Yeah. But no, I think it's interesting because like you mentioned other like sports that you were involved in. Like, was it just not one of the things that like I guess my follow-up would be what sports were you in? And then why
Yeah.
didn't that kind of go down that road? Because I know I tried basketball because I'm Canadian and was no good at hockey. And I feel like
Okay.
instantly I'm just ousted. Like, like if
Yeah.
you're not a Canadian kid that plays hockey,
Yeah.
next best thing is basketball. At least
Yeah.
girls or your fellas will show up and watch you play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Or
So,
football. Football.
or yeah, football is
Mm.
more mainland, I call it, like
Okay. Okay.
Ontario, BC. Because I mean,
Okay.
we don't have a CFL team in Newfoundland. We don't have much
No.
in Newfoundland, so it's like, how do you gonna entertain a 10-year-old like that could be you one day? It's like
Yeah.
how? Where am I playing?
And
Yeah,
basketball is a fun game too. So
basketball's easy to just like pick up a ball and
yeah.
practice, and then if
Yeah.
you suck, you immediately go, okay, this only cost me $20 for shorts and a
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah. Hockey is expensive too. When kids
Yeah,
get
you
into rep,
suck at
like
hockey, your parents just, like,
yeah,
hold that against you for life.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
The
like,
hockey
what's
parents are
yeah,
crazy.
like, what sports were you into?
So I played in high school. I played basketball. I was point guard, and
Okay,
then I played setter for volleyball, and then I played competitive volleyball and tennis growing up.
okay.
So, and why did it never pan out? Honestly, I think just I was well. I didn't go to college or university after, so I didn't have a team to
Okay.
follow up with.
Yeah.
Um, and I think tennis was the pressure. A solo sport I really struggled with because when I lost, it was all my fault. At least with a team, you can be like kind of share the misery, and
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
tennis, I was like fucking slamming
Oh,
rackets and
yeah.
just hating. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I just transitioned out of it when I found. I guess when I found acting.
Yeah.
Yeah. because
I
I
feel like
went to school for a semester of psychology, and then I booked a feature, and I kind of had to choose which route to go. So
okay,
yeah,
yeah. I feel like I feel like when you're comparing sports there, like, you know what? I would never try tennis, but when it comes to a team sport, that's why I kind of like team sports. Like you said, like you win as a team, you lose as a
yeah,
team. But like
yeah,
individual, it's like you win, you're the highest of highs. You lose,
yeah,
you're like the lowest of fucking lows.
yes,
And
yes.
like
The
I can,
pressure's a little less with a team.
yeah, and I feel like a
Yeah,
good combination sport for that, because, and I'm saying this a little bit biased, is bowling. Because in
bowling.
bowling, there's 5 of you, and if, like, you have to get a higher score than the
Yeah.
other 5 teams, so, like, if you work together and you help each other, like, some guy gets a spare, the next time you go up, if you get a strike, it's, like, double points, so it's like you're working as a team, but
Okay.
that
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
instantly turn on you when
Yeah.
when it's like a guy gets a strike and then you go up and miss it, right?
Bomb it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Freaking Steve, like, what are you doing?" And then you're just like, "Oh, man," like, I just remember as tournaments when you're a kid, like, we play against, like, same as, like, you're playing against other schools, they play against, like, other
Yeah.
associations. I
Mhm.
just get like, I was so mad that we lost one by, like, maybe 2 or 3 points, and it wasn't even like you can't do anything because it's the kid that's bowling. You can't just go like, "Hey, let me take this one," because
Yeah.
he has a right to his turn, and usually he does well. I just remember
Yeah.
him, like, somehow missing, and when you get older, you're like, it's a tough break, a lot of pressure on, like, a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or whatever
Okay.
because 'cause you're young, but in the
Did
moment,
you?
you're like, "Damn it!"
So you grew up bowling then?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I
I'm
haven't
what they
been
call a
bowling in a long
nerd.
time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, now it's cool. I'm sure back then they were just like, "This guy over here bowls." It's like, he plays hockey, awesome, I'll go watch him. He plays
Yeah.
soccer, cool.
Yeah.
He plays
This guy
basketball,
bowls.
and then this guy bowls, and they're like, but they'll say it like, "And this guy bowls." But anyway, and it's like, "Wait, no, emphasize that. I bowl."
Oh, did you play darts too? I'm just joking.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I wish I was that good, like, hand-eye coordination. I mean, I played soccer. I feel like I had to have at least one semi-cool sport, so
Yeah, soccer's a cool sport.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're really good
Mhm.
at it, it's awesome. If it's just for fun, I mean, I still play soccer today, but, like, it's more or less for fun, and if we lose, I'm just like, "Boss, like,
Yeah.
we're here in
Yeah.
an adult team just playing," right?
Yeah.
And then I'm
Yeah.
looking at it like a hockey team that's in, like, an adult program, and I'm just like, "We could be over there with them, and look how they handle a loss. So be
Yeah.
happy you play soccer. You can
Yeah.
run away."
Yeah, you can just take off.
Yeah, you can just take off. You don't have to be in the dressing room taking off skates, and some guys are like, "Steve, it's time to go."
Fucking Steve.
Steve's just, like, really bad. No.
Yeah.
Um, but just do you remember, like, the first, I guess, like, acting, I know you kind of elaborate on it, but, like, the first acting gig you got and kind of how that transitioned into you saying, "Okay, this is the career path I wanna choose," choose? Because I can imagine, like you said, you were going to, like, you were on that path of a university or doing acting, and then
Mhm.
you just chose acting. So, like, what more or less, I guess, in your mind or whatever said, "All right, this is my career. This is where I wanna go."
Um, well, I guess I didn't realize how fucking hard it would be to make a career of it. I
Yeah.
was very naive at the time. Uh,
That's not what your fortune cookie said, right? You open the fortune cookie,
yeah.
it's just like, "Choose your heart," and then, like,
Yeah.
5 years later, you open it up, like, fucking wrong choice or something. You're just like,
Yeah.
"Wait,
Yeah.
what? How?"
Yeah. Now I'm like, maybe being, in psychiatry wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah,
I don't I guess just being on set was like super. Again, I was very naive and didn't really know what I was doing, but it was just like a magical place. It was a place where, when we're working, we're there for like 16, 17, 18 hours, and it's never a place where I'm like, oh, I want to get out of here. Like I just love it when I'm working. So, and
yeah.
I did then. So I guess that's what just led me to being like, oh, I hope I get to keep doing this.
Okay. No, that's fair. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like everyone has kind of, like, a driven either passion or something that some people will just be like, "I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why that concerns you or
Yeah.
consists in you," but,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's just sometimes it's just something that you're like, "I know I'm good at this. I
Yeah.
feel like I can go places with it, so let's
Yeah.
see where it goes," and, like, it never really kinda goes away. Like, you can still find, like, side hobbies or projects, but
For sure.
for some
Yeah.
reason, you're like, "Okay." this is what I
Yeah.
was put on the earth to do. I don't know why, but you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
I kind of laugh at it because I'll joke with my friends. It's like you see it on like Instagram and stuff when they have like the very inspirational music, and someone's like, "What if your purpose in life was this?" I'm just still like, "All right, it's 3 in the morning. Can I just go to sleep?" But like,
Yeah.
I'll listen to it, and it's just like, "What if you die and you talk to God?" And it's just like, "Man, I had bigger plans for you." I'd be like, "Well, you didn't send me good signs." Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you were supposed to be a
Didn't give me the
bowling
pass.
prodigy. You
Yeah.
were supposed to be like a world champion of bowling. I'd be like, but I think I did okay. He's like, I gave you signs here, here, and here. I'd be like, those are not signs.
Yeah.
Not clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we need bigger directions.
yeah, like he'd be like, I thought it was very obvious when you won a bowling ball and a bowling bag your first year of bowling. I'd be like, oh, I thought that was luck. He'd be like, idiot. I'd be like, have you ever won a podcast or like a microphone? I'd be like, no. And he's like, well, here you go. I threw it at you. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're speaking to a guy who couldn't even make the stage for his first time as a performer.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
all right, that one's on me. I'll be like,
Yeah.
exactly. You take the credit for
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but I want to ask you because I know we kind of get into a little bit of the acting side, but I like looking at like the interesting part of, I guess, conversations with people as you get to know a little bit more about them. And I mean, I don't want this to come across like as mean or insulting, but like I go on your Instagram and I see more like animal rights stuff and like, hey, here's a dog, and I don't know the proper term for it, but like, they don't got they're I call it like a wheelchair dog because he has
Yeah.
wheels. But
Yeah.
I was just like, man, this seems way more interesting to me than if you just had to post like, hey, I'm in a Hallmark movie, check it out. I'd be like, okay. So is like Brittany Bristow. So is like
Yeah.
5, 6 other actors that are always just swapping partners. But
Yeah.
like the animal stuff, like tell me kind of how that came about because I think some of the posts when I look at it, it's very detailed, it's very in depth, it's like very like I am very furious at this, but I'm going to kind of keep it composed, but you can kind
Mm.
of tell the passion of it. So where did that instill from? Like, did you once upon a time have a puppy that like lost legs and needed legs, or were you just like in a household and you're like, man, my neighbor beats its cat up and I don't like that. Like, tell me where it comes from.
Where did it come from? Well, both my parents growing up were very much animal lovers and caretakers. So they would come home constantly with stray or injured animals. So I think from them, I learned that, like, you don't just walk past something that's hurting on the street. And then I'm an only child, and I think most people in the rescue world have some like attachment wounds and trauma that maybe they haven't dealt with, and so their heart goes elsewhere from other people I've spoken to in this world. So I think just spending a lot of time alone as a child, like I had a lot of love for the cats and dogs that were around, and I still do. So, and then it's definitely gotten more intense and ingrained in me as I've gotten older. As I just like when I was in Newfoundland, like the amount of birds I found injured, and there's a lovely woman who owns a rescue there who takes
Yeah.
them all, but like the animals just find me now, and like I'm not gonna walk past something that's suffering on the street, like, and there's just so many dogs and cats and horses and everything that just are suffering that I don't believe in paying someone to
Yeah.
bring another animal into the world. And often, I mean, these people they're not breeding under humane circumstances in any way. So I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah, it's just something I'm super passionate about. And I've always said, like, if I ever had, more of a platform, I just want to work, and I love acting, and I hope that I get to tell really good stories. But I would also love to have that platform to like make a difference in the world when it comes to the lives of animals. So,
Like
so that's
on
probably why my page is that all that.
yeah, it's like what's it like a Sarah McLachlan where like every now and again, if you turn on like the TV, she'll like
Yep.
tell you like,
Oh,
hey, and I'm just like, you know what? It's like there's a time and a place. Like I like dogs, cats, all these animals, but when I was younger, and I mean, I'm sure the commercial was from like the 80s when it was like in the 90s,
yeah,
but I think it was
I
like
remember that one.
it's like a I think it's a Bryan Adams song, and it's like you're just looking at a dog on the road,
I
and
think they still have that commercial. I
yeah,
think
well,
that one's still going.
I think it's interesting because like again, now on social media, people bring up like these old commercials, like, and like I find it so nostalgic because it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and the amount of people that've done it, I must like give the original person the credit, but it's like, like songs from the 80s, love songs. And it's like, you hear Celine Dion, and I'm just like, yeah, I do remember that, where they're like, buy
Yeah.
this on like 3 or 4 CDs. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, the instant memory of that is like
Yeah.
3 or 4 in the morning on a summer night where it's
Yeah.
really warm. And you're like,
Yeah.
why am I up? How did this TV come on? Who was
Yeah.
watching this? But like, then there's the side of me that's like 2 or 3 in the morning, you turn off like Treehouse or YTV, and
Yeah.
then you hear like it's like anywhere you go, or like whatever you do, I will be right there. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's like that's a decent. And then the voiceover comes like, for $1 a day, you can save. I'm
Yeah.
just like,
You can save this
I'm in
rainbow.
place. I'm already
Yeah.
sad. You're making
Yeah.
me more sad. I'll
Yeah.
go. And then it's like, because you're small and you're like vulnerable, I will go find my dog downstairs and be like, we love you, right? And he's just like, let me sleep. I'm tired. I'm just like, okay, well, good night, Buster. Like, just letting you
I
know.
still do that. Every time I see something sad, I like go over and just love my dogs.
Yeah. Well, we have like
Yeah.
the small. Well, I had to borrow the small dog out of the room, but like I have a small dog here, and it will sleep with me sometimes at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
But like anytime someone wakes up in the middle of the night, if someone sneezes, if someone
Yeah.
coughs, that dog goes right into their face as if it's a doctor, and it's just
Yeah.
like, it's like, "Are you okay?" It's like, "You okay?" And then it's like it won't leave until you
Yeah.
basically pat it down as if to be like, it's
I'm
almost
good,
like,
dude.
"I'm scared. Why did you
Yeah.
sneeze? Now comfort me." It's like, "No, don't worry about me.
Yeah.
You're the one who wants attention." But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
when I
so
see those
funny.
commercials, that's instantly what comes to mind. It's just like though, like obviously the poor animals, poor pets, but then there's a part of me that's like, man, like I want to help, but God, like Brian Adams, can you relax? Like I can't save every dog or every cat.
Yeah.
Like I can only do what I can, and you're making me feel worse.
Yeah. I think my friends and family kind of feel that way around me because when they travel with me, like I'm just, well, we have to do something out this one. Like, well, oh, we just
Yeah.
want to go to the fucking beach. Like, so I don't
Yeah.
travel as much anymore.
Yeah, you're off like the group chat invite.
Yeah, I
when
am.
they go places, they're just like, no, no,
Yeah,
Megan, no, you're not
no.
coming.
Yeah, I just kind of ruined the time.
Yeah. So tell me, like, because I know there's an audience out there that would enjoy this kind of side of the story, but like, tell me a little bit about your dog, because if you go on Instagram, you see the dog. So I mean, I just call it the
Mm,
dog. I don't know the name, but like, you know, why was the situation like? Did it lose its legs before you had it? Uh, like, is that what you adopted it for, or like during the process did it lose its legs? Because I feel like either way, it's fine. No one's gonna be here like, how dare you? Like,
mm,
but a little bit of the backstory, because I think it's interesting, because like I know there's a lot of people out there that would say, oh, I would totally take a blind cat, or I would
right.
totally take a dog that you know uh, barks all the time or is scared. And there you go, on cue.
Henry,
Uh,
no.
but like,
No.
but then there are people that will say like, yeah, I'll take it, and then when you get it, you realize that's a lot more work than what you planned.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know what I was getting into with Gracie. So she has her, so it's not her legs. She still has her legs. She has a spinal injury. So
Oh,
she's
okay, okay.
paralyzed. Yeah. I did adopt her that way from Egypt, through an awesome organization called Canada Golden Rescue Canada. And so they bring dogs over from Cairo and from Turkey. So yeah, I had put in a bunch of applications for like able golden retrievers that I never heard back about. And then Gracie didn't get any applications, and so I heard back
Oh,
from them like right away.
okay.
And so yeah, that's how I got Gracie. But yeah, I never had a disabled pet before, so I
Yeah.
didn't really know what I was getting into. And when she got here, she was in like much rougher condition than they had thought. So, like her back end was like down to like bone and blood. She had all types of parasites. Like she was basically dead. The vet was like, if you want to put her down today when she got off the plane, like I get it. But he was amazing. And so he helped me through the whole process, and here she is now on her wheels. So yeah,
So
yeah.
like, I want to ask you, dealing with that, like, because you said that you were there, like I guess that was the only application they had. like
Yeah.
how do you kind of go through that crossroads? Because I know like sometimes when you're looking at a dog and there's 3 or 4 in there and you don't know if you're in, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden like, you get this application, you're like, okay, like I mean I'm not, hopefully people don't try to cancel me for it, but I mean like imagine like you're basically looking for a golden retriever, and you know
Yeah.
they come
Yeah.
back to you and they're like, hey, you got a golden retriever. You're like, great. Okay, here's like, he's a 10, but he does this, right? So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's a
Yeah.
10, but here's
Yeah.
the situation at
But
hand. Yeah.
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
how was your first reaction? Was it like, oh my God, yes, I'll take it? Or was it kind of like, okay, let me weigh the pros and cons? Because I don't think anyone would like, begrudge you if you're kind of like, it sounds great, but I want to weigh this through because I don't want, like, again, the worst part is then having a dog and then you
Yeah.
realize like halfway through, you're like, I can't help you. And then you're helpless for
Oh, for
yourself,
sure.
you're helpless for the dog.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and she ended up getting like 2 others or something. So they had interviewed us all.
Yeah.
But when we started the conversation about her coming over, I was like, oh, I don't really know what I'm getting into. And then when I got her, yeah, for like the first 6 months, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I did. I can't take care of this dog. Like she's incontinent, so she'd pee on me all the time, poop on me all the time. So like, yeah, there was plenty of days where I was like, I should have just put her down, not
Yeah.
actually meaning it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like, fuck. And still days sometimes I'm like, like today I had to give her a bath out there because she has an accident, and
Yeah.
it's like having a newborn child, except she's 70 pounds and she doesn't
Yeah.
speak, or
She
I
does.
don't know,
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah.
neither
Yeah.
do newborn
It's not like
children actually.
it's not like she's verbal enough to be like, like,
No.
thanks for all this, but like,
Yeah.
okay, while you're doing that, I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
But
it's a
she's
little,
honestly so full of love. Like she's the kindest, sweetest. Everybody that meets her is like, oh, she's a special dog. So if she was like a bitch and you did all this, then you'd be like, oh, I don't know about this dog. But she's so full of love that the other one, on the other hand, the little guy, Henry, he's barking over there. He's got a little bit of an attitude.
yeah, he's probably like, I need a bath too, man. Like, what's something going?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like, oh, I'm neglected here.
Yeah, like what's other? Yeah, my brother has a dog like that where it's like it's pretty young, but it's kind of floppy.
Okay,
And it's like it's like a lanky dog, but like
okay,
the moment you come into the door, it like shakes its tail at you. It wants
okay.
its belly's rubbed. It's just
Wants
like all
all
over
the
you.
attention.
Yeah, and then we have
Yeah,
dogs here that like, they when you come into the door, they're just kind of like they'll bark, just be like,
yeah,
all right, like hello, who are you? And then they'll jump on you for the bit that you come into the door, and then after like, all right, cool, I greeted you, man. I'm going back
yeah,
to like
yeah,
lying down over here.
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Henry's kind of the same, except Henry, he bites men sometimes, which is like, I'll be like, please don't pet him, and then we'll be like, as as people do, oh, don't worry, dogs love me, and like go and pet them, and then he like takes a chunk out of their hand. I'm like, I told you, don't
yeah,
touch him.
yeah. They're like,
So
man, they just think they have it. They just think that
yeah,
they're like the dog whisperer. It's like, well, if you're
yeah,
a dog whisperer, you would have known that dog was whispering, "Get
yeah,
the
yeah.
fuck away
Get the
from
fuck
me."
away from
Yeah,
me. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
I want to ask you because I noticed this with your Instagram as well, and like I again when it comes to different interests, like is it? I guess I might get this wrong, but to me, it's like everything that looks like that's the same. But it's like yoga or exercising. Like
yeah,
I guess, like you're big into that. But like I'm
yeah.
one of those people that for the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I will have
Okay.
friends up away, and they will say, "You should try yoga. You should try this. You should try meditation. You should try," and I'm like, "But why? Like, I don't get it. Like, what's the point? Like, are you trying to say I'm mad? Or are you trying to say like I need to be calm?" And they're like, "No, it's just a good thing to do." I'm just like, man, to me, I get it for people who do it because they seem super easy, super chill. But
Yeah,
me, I'm just still like, what exactly would I do? What would I start with? And what exactly like am I supposed to get an end goal out of it? Because I feel like this is one of those things you have to go in with a mindset of, hey, you got to be positive here. Where I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm doing this yoga position, don't know why, and then someone's just like, then don't do it if you don't want to do it. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be good for me.
I think. Oh, are you in St. John's?
Yeah.
It's like a really good. The Moto yoga studio is really good there.
Oh, okay. There you go. Shout out to them.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I'm sure
yeah,
now. I'm sure now when this episode gets there, they'll be like, all right, we like her, but this Tobin guy, we're gonna
Yeah,
drag him in, and
fuck
then
that guy.
they'll like make me. They're like, we heard you like acting. Can you act like you care? And I'd be like, I can act like the asshole in a commercial where it's just like yoga, so stupid. And then they like convince, and there's another person that convinces you all the pros to yoga.
Yeah, yeah,
And at the
yeah.
end of the commercial, I'm like, I guess I could give it a try.
Have you ever practiced a class? Have you ever tried one?
No, not at all.
Oh, I think you'd like it.
Yeah, but okay, explain that. Why would you think that I like it? Like explain like what the benefit is and then be like, Tobin, no, you're just a loser, and that's why you like it, because you like bowling. So how hard can it be?
Yeah, bowling and darts are your thing.
Yeah, bowling and darts and
Yeah.
yoga on the side where it's like
Yeah.
I go bowl and I can hit my like foot at the back of my head, but like man, he's so mad that he took his foot and hit him on it's like he practices yoga.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's no end goal. Like there's no I mean it's called a practice for a reason. Like the reason I started practicing was just for my mental health, I think. Like I experienced a bit of anxiety or down days, and I did really find that yoga like helped me.
Okay.
Of course, there's so many times. I mean, that's the thing about it is it's a mental challenge as much as it is a physical challenge. When I'm holding Warrior 2, I'm fuck this. I wish the teacher would shut up. Blah blah blah. And like I feel this way, and like you hear them. You really become aware of the mental chatter that's
Yeah.
constant. And through the practice, I mean, the goal for me has been to observe, but also just try to like quiet and not get like meditation, not get attached to the story of like you're fat or you're stupid or this or that, or if this person had done this, like,
That's a great meditation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sit down there and be like, you are fine. And then just be
Yeah.
like, I'm eating a donut. And then there's so like,
Yeah.
what kind of
Yeah.
meditation are you doing? You're like, hungry
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I don't know. So I got my yoga teacher trainer on my certificate last year. So I learned a lot more there of like more of the philosophy and the history of yoga, which was interesting for me to learn. I mean, such an ancient practice for a reason. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like to each their own. Some people like to do like I know people will say like, oh well, exercise is good for you too. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Like going for a walk, go for a run? They're like, no, like go to the gym and work out. I'm like, no, that's work. That's why it's called work out.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's not
Yeah.
for me. That's why when
No,
people are like, oh, you're like, what made you interested in bowling? I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't complicated. I wasn't yelling at a bowling ball.
yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you yell at a goalie or you yell at a hockey stick or you get like you
Yeah.
get mad and you try to snap a hockey stick. I'm like, have you ever tried to snap a bowling ball? Like, no. You just like as an 8-year-old and you're mad because you didn't get a strike. You're like, oh, and then you're just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You're not breaking for me. I can't break anything in here because
Yeah.
like the shoes are shoes. The
Yeah.
bowling lane is its lane. So you just get mad and you're like, all right,
You could throw the ball and like hurt someone.
yeah, that's too violent. And then you know what?
Okay.
If you don't have the upper body strength, it's just gonna fall in your foot anyway. You're like, it's like, oh, like Zach, shut your mouth, and you throw it. You're like, no, my toe. Now I'm mad at
Yeah.
you and my toe
Yeah.
when I didn't get a strike and we
Yeah.
lost and it's all on me. Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why team sports is always just to like, yeah, it was your fault. No, it was your fault.
Yeah.
Can we agree that it's both of our faults? No.
Yeah. And
Okay,
then
well in
move
my mind
on.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you like to kind of like close it out. Like I know we kind of went into the acting side, went into the animal rights side and yoga. Would you mind having a fun game of random questions?
No, let's do it.
All right. All right. Let me see if this will generate. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna see what the first one is. Awesome. Okay. What is oh here it is. Like what is the stupidest? What is the stupidest or funniest thing that you remember doing as a child?
As a child.
Yeah, I don't feel
Was
like,
the
I feel like an adult people just be like, well, there's one time I got
funniest
drunk. Yeah.
Yeah, funniest or stupidest thing I remember doing as a child. I don't know if it's the stupidest thing, but like my Barbies had like pretty dramatic lives. Yeah. Like they had like all types of things going on.
like you wanna elaborate on that? No.
Like there was like affairs happening and like, this girl I was
Oh,
piercing belly buttons and cutting hair and like I don't
oh,
know, my Barbies were like living in a soap opera.
That's fair. You know what? I feel
Yeah.
like when I was small and watched wrestling, that's what I used to do with wrestlers. Like I keep
Yep.
myself busy, and
Yeah.
like you watch the storylines on TV or how they play out, and then you got
I
figures.
loved the WWF. I used to
Yeah.
go to Raw's War when it came to the Sky Dome. I met Shawn Michaels twice. I loved
Oh,
Sunny. I was such a fan.
nice. I say it because it's just like when you're smaller and you have the figures. Like I mean, everyone has their own interests, but like I it was kind of dorky because it'd be like on a Saturday. Bugs Bunny is just after like being on TV, and then like you're
Yeah.
planning your day because again,
Yeah.
I might be weird, but I'm organizational. And then it's just
Yeah.
so like you sit there and you're
Yeah.
just like, all right, I'm gonna create my own match card, and your friend comes in
Yeah.
and says, we're going playing ball hockey. You're like, not yet. I have to
Yeah.
create my own WrestleMania here.
Undertaker and Mankind are fighting.
Yeah. It's like you make a fake page and you just throw it off. Like
Yeah.
we had like a well, not like a real tall balcony, but I guess like high enough that you would like throw RVD doing a frog splash, and you're like, man, that will definitely hit. And it just hits grass because it's
Yeah.
summertime. And you're like,
Yeah.
that's so sick. I wish he did it in real person. You're like, you just seen that on TV, and he would not
Yeah.
do that in real life because he would die.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking? You're like, oh, so sick, so cool.
Yeah.
And your neighbor walks by. It's like, remember when I had a crush on this guy? I'd be like, what was that? Oh, yeah, just like leave. No,
Yeah.
the other random one they have here, let's see. What's your favorite movie?
Hmm. That's a hard one. My favorite movie, like of all time? I
Mine's
can't
Mr.
choose
Deeds.
that.
I love Mr.
There's-
Deeds.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a good movie. I don't know. I watch The Holiday a lot at Christmas time.
yeah, that's
Probably
fair.
seen it the most,
I
but
feel like your answer should be like anyone that I'm in. Duh, no,
yeah. Duh.
yeah,
The ones that I do. Hello.
yeah. So it's just like I knew that. I knew she had an ego. It's just like, well,
Yeah.
actually, no. He baited her into saying that
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Actually, all of my films.
Yeah, all of my films. Yeah, it's like you know what? I think it's interesting because we had this conversation with I think Brittany Bristow like 2 years ago, and I remember saying to her like when they do the Hallmark ads, and I literally like you know you don't really see them talk as much as like it's like starring Brittany Bristow or starring blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and then it's like
Yeah.
okay, but I'm like Brittany, do they ever get you to do like the promos where it's like you know hey this is Brittany, stay tuned to my movie, and she's like I would never. She's like that sounds so egotistical. I'm just like all right, like I guess. But
Yeah.
like, you know,
No, she's so sweet. She's
some people
not.
do promo that way, but I just think it's
Yeah.
funny because, yeah, I guess in the moment when you're doing it, it's like, hey, this is Brian Tobin, and check out my movie. It's just like, well, what about if they don't want to? Like, that's cool too. Don't. But then, what's the, I guess, like, what's the worst tweet or, I guess, comment that you ever received or seen for something that you were in?
Well, I don't have Twitter, but someone on, well, I don't, I mean, looking back, it wasn't, but it hurt my feelings a lot at the time. I did this show called In Contempt, and a woman wrote, she was being nice, but she was like, oh, I love Tracy's character. She's such a big, thick white woman. So basically calling me fat in a nice way. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it's like a backwards compliment.
Yeah, like, oh, okay.
What's your biggest achievement in life or something that you look back on and you're like, man, I'm so glad I did this because without this, nothing.
My biggest achievement looking back on life. Well, I
You give
guess
me a
this will be.
corner answer and be like, it hasn't happened yet. It's like,
Yeah, my
I'm
biggest
young.
achievements. I actually don't think I hope my biggest achievements haven't happened yet. That's for sure. Because I have a lot more I'd like to accomplish in this lifetime. My biggest accomplishment. Well, you know, it's probably very personal. However, I found recovery from an eating disorder, and I think that had I not, I think I would be in a very different place right now. So, dead or very sick still. I'd be miserable.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
That's all I got for that.
No, that's fair. Because I mean, some people would just be like, oh, like I did this or did that, or like I won a Golden Globe or one of this. It's like, all right, but like you really just like you overcame.
I mean, if I had won a Golden Globe, that would be my answer.
Oh man, like listen, if I had won like you know a Juno or something, I'd be like,
yeah.
you know what? To be fair, if I won a Juno, I know it's Canada, and I'm like Canadian. I'm like it's high up there, but I don't think there's a
Yeah.
Juno Award for podcasting. But at the same point, it's like I'd just be happy to say, well, I'm doing a podcast, and I overcame a stroke at 10. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's
That's
better.
a
Look, the
that's a
dog
that's a
agrees. The
good.
dog's like, yeah,
Henry's like, fuck yeah.
yeah, I agree. All right, so the last one they have, um, okay, let's see. I'm just seeing if there's a really good last one for a random one here. Um, all right, I can do that one. Uh, what's a hot take you have on life? Like something that you're like, man, not a lot of people are going to agree with, but I stand by it.
Ooh. I mean, I think a lot of me being like adopt, don't shop, like stop going to breeders pisses a lot of people off, especially the breeders of the world. So
Yeah,
I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure that's
yeah.
one thing that people are like, would she just shut up?
Like, dude, just give it a rest, all right? Like we have
Yeah,
Brian Adams. Stop it.
yeah,
You're gonna feel like
yeah,
I will contact Brian Adams and make him sing more songs. Don't make me
yeah,
do it.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
I don't know. That's a really good random one. I think a hot take that I have is just like I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit more biased or a little bit more like pet peevish, but
Okay.
like for someone that likes broadcasting, it's like why is it like every sports station or mostly sports stations? It's like, hey, we're gonna hire some ex athletes here to do
Mm,
what? It's like to
mm,
tell you about the sport. I'm like, you didn't do that in like the 70s or 80s. Why all of a sudden is it okay now? It's like, well, they bring insight because they played the game. I'm like, okay, have you heard their insight? Their insight is
right.
like, yeah, I watched Tom Brady all the time, and I knew he was going to make that touchdown. I'm like, so does
Yeah.
Keith, and
Yeah.
Keith didn't play NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like,
I could see why that, because broadcasting is a skill. If people go to school, like it's a yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
I
almost
totally understand where you're coming
it's
from.
like when the U.S. It's like I guess it's more of a U.S. phrase, but it's like
Yeah.
when you hear a college walk on, like the kid made it. Like I'm like, yeah, that's great. He's a walk on from college, right? Like
Yep.
he had to have some skill to obviously
Yep.
make it. But then like
Yeah.
for broadcasting, it's like this guy played in the NFL and he walked in and now he's your co-host for the day. I'm like, and there's a 20-something-year-old that just spent 4 years at university
Yeah.
just trying to get their way in the door, and
Yeah.
then it's a back and forth because then there are people like, yeah, but this guy spent 20 years of his life in the NFL. I'm like, yeah, and he's beaten up and bruised, and maybe he
Yeah.
should just go home
Go
and
home and
relax.
rest and let the
Yeah, like
rest of us come
yeah, or
in.
if he wants to if he wants to talk about it, there's
Yeah.
podcasting. You can't stop him from podcasting,
Yeah.
but he's already got a name. Like they already have their name made, so like
Yeah.
people will
Yeah.
tune in. But the 20-year-old who
Mhm.
just came out of like university or college, just trying to
Yeah.
get a name for himself, they're not gonna watch him
Yeah.
comment on Tom
Yeah.
Brady's touchdown until he's on
Yeah.
a network. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
my
I can see why that bothers you.
yeah. As a
Mhm.
broadcaster, it does. As
Of
a
course.
fan, if you're gonna be like a little bit unbiased, like listen, if you're gonna do it two sides to the story, like when Tom Brady retires and Tom Brady wants to go into the booth, I'm not gonna be like, ah, tune off Tom Brady. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'll just be as invested, but
Yeah.
I would like to have equal say of Tom Brady's on this station. And guess what?
Yeah.
We gave this like 30-year-old guy who's bounced around from different stations, he's gonna be his
Yeah.
co-host. I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, get the best of both worlds there.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Just
Mhm.
one day you'll go, yeah, like you go to a school and be like, how come we don't offer broadcasting anymore? All the sports athletes took it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Seriously.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, what else is there to do? Um, all right, so I'm gonna throw in this bonus one because I thought this one was an interesting one to end it. But um, what is one thing in life that you would take away, like something that you would hate, and it has to go, has to be removed?
From my life, or like the
And it can be life in general. Like I always say things that I want to take out of life is like I know the ones will be probably like three that people like don't ever talk about war, religion, and blah blah blah. But I'm just like, man, if we could just take out a thing that's like, hey, you have to stay off social media for so many
yeah.
hours a day and see how that affects your life. Like
Yeah.
literally, like if you try to log in, they're like, sorry, not access
Yeah.
at this time. Because I feel like
Yeah.
gradually people would be like, all right, this is not that important to tweet. This is not important to
Right.
do this. And then eventually you go back to, I mean, I'm not saying the 90s was the greatest thing ever, but
Yeah.
if I had an opinion in the 90s, I'm telling a friend, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I feel better. Now I have an
Yeah.
opinion. I'm like tweeting it out, and some other one's like, I don't
Yeah.
like your opinion. It's like, well, I don't like your face. And I don't like
Yeah.
your face. I'm just like, all I said was I don't like pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
people are like, you're an idiot. I'm like, all right, you're right. I do like pineapple on pizza. I just want to get engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would I choose? I could take anything. Well, obviously, I mean, I would take away people cannot engage in animal cruelty.
Yeah.
Maybe people have to have at least one meal without animal products a day. How about that?
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be tough. I feel for me,
Yeah.
I'd probably find like, man,
I think it'd be tough for most people.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
like chicken nuggets and pizza.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I mean, like, and burgers, but at the same point, it's like someone's like, you have to take away one. I'm like, who instilled this? Megan? Where's Megan?
Yeah. But only breakfast or lunch or dinner. The rest you can have as much as you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Just one meal a day.
Yeah. See how? Yeah. You see like a cow on the road, be like, thank you. It's like, no,
Yeah.
don't worry. Like I saved you.
Thank
for
me.
now.
Thank Megan.
That's going to do it for this episode of Tobin Tonight. Our thanks to Megan Hutchings for coming on to the show. Remember, you can find past, present, and future episodes on TobinTonight.com, Spotify, and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment or two. For Tobin and myself, this is Jacob saying thank you for listening and good night.